everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm doing another video today in my car. Wow. There's that troll that was like talking about me doing the King Diamond videos while driving. But anyways, I hope this smashes him into his. I don't want to smash him literally, but smash him rhetorically, metaphorically into smithereens. These trolls, Anyways, that's a little negative. But speaking of that, so I'll tell a little story about my life really quick before I get my coffee for the day. So 2006 is when I got into a lot of my self-help stuff that I'm into, and I'm just gonna say I haven't really done it. I haven't really done a lot of the self-help stuff at least not to the extent that you're supposed to do. You buy a program, for example, Anthony Robbins' Personal Power 2, The Driving Force. What I would usually do is, I've only done it about 2 or 3 times in my life since 2006 when I think I first heard it in 2007, but I only went through the 30-day program 2 or 3 times. And by the way, when I go through the 30-day program, things do happen. So I'll listen to 3 or 4 days and then give up for months, and then listen to those 3 or 4 days again, give up for months or years sometimes. And this is kind of the modus operandi for all this kind of stuff with self-help, with self-improvement with me, including dating stuff, by the way, as people already know. So that is the problem, and I've identified that's the problem. So anytime, if a person told me, oh, none of that stuff works, blah, 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 I would be like, well, it has worked, but not to the extent that it should. I'm not only talking about dating stuff or trying to hit on women and stuff or anything like that. I'm talking about everything. New age, new thought, magic. Problem is that I haven't done it all that much. I've talked about it, I've explored it, I've had it as this this crutch, oh, I can always go back to that. Oh, I'm starting to do that. I'm trying to do that. I'm not. I haven't. It's just an admission. I've hardly done it. So not to the extent that he should. And it's not like saying even this confidence program that I have, I'll just say it's from a certain old school dating coach that also is bears an uncanny resemblance back in the day to Eugene Levy. You could probably guess who that is if you're in the know. So this unstoppable confidence. Oh, he said 2 or 3 weeks and you'll become a different person, blah, blah, blah. So what happens is I'll listen to it, and sometimes I just don't have time, but I'll listen to it, a couple times, the first few days, and then I'll stop. I'll do the first 4 things, or I'll skip ahead, months later I'll do the next one. And that's got to stop. So this is one of the things that has gotten me. The Neville Goddard stuff, like the 30 days or whatever that I was going to do, back in 2020, I didn't do that. It's hard to keep consistent with a lot of that kind of stuff. It's hard to keep consistent because you have all this stuff that you're doing in your life and all these things. But politics is actually one of the things that I'm pretty consistent at, as far as watching political videos on YouTube, Rumble, or whatever. So that has been my bad habit, and I've said this before. So eliminate that, or at least gradually reduce it to some great extent, and you have time. You have time to do all this stuff. So I'm announcing, I'm kind of going back to square one. I'm kind of turning back the clock, if you will, with a lot of this stuff, because this has been a real bad struggle for me over the years. And what do I mean by that? I'll go into something, and the bad habits will start again. The bad mental habits. I would average it out to about 3 days of doing certain things, like Tony Robbins or something. I've done the program. I did the program. Okay, this classic old school self-help thing, from the 80s, 90s, Personal Power 2. I don't know what happened to Personal Power 1. I've never heard it, but so I don't know the difference. I just know Personal Power 2 because I used to see the infomercials too as a kid, and I was like, that in Scientology I saw the Dianetics. I was like, what is that? Probably more with Tony Robbins though, because they got me early hooked on that stuff. Of course, I didn't obtain it the normal way. I'll just say that. I did buy the physical copy. I'll tell you how and why. I saw it on eBay, like the actual tapes, Personal Power 2, like from the early 90s. I was like, oh, that's kind of a retro thing to buy, and I own those. But other than that, I'll just say that I obtained them a different way. Hopefully Tony Robbins will come up and kick my ass or something. I did it like a lot of people did in the early 2010s and late 2000s. Obtained a lot of that stuff, actually. All the self-help stuff, a lot of it at least. I bought some books. I actually bought both of his classic books, Tony Robbins. So, blabbing about Tony Robbins. So, what I would do is, I'll do the next, and obviously I can't do it every day because I have, a lot of stuff going on. I'm not going to do it every day, but I could do it like if I get a week where I did 3 of the days or 4 of the days, that's a good week, right? What I would do though is I would listen to it for a couple of weeks, and then months would go by, and then I'm going to finish the last one, and then I never finish it. I get to about week 2 or week, maybe like the goal setting exercise, if you know what I'm talking about, if you're in the know about this stuff. And that's the problem with a lot of this stuff, is I'll do it, and the same goes for everything. So Thursday night, I went back to martial arts, Kung Fu class. For the first time, and I timed this out. I actually did the date calendar website, or app or whatever. I was like, okay, what's 4.5 years before? It was February 16th, 2020. Or February 15th in this case, because I went on the 15th. So, I went to... fuck off. Sorry, it's traffic bullshit. I went to Kung Fu the first time in 4.5 years. Now, I was doing it heavily in like 2006-7. I was going every week, and I lost a bunch of weight. So, after that, though, it became like, I'll go like once. I'll go today. I'm not going to go first. I'm not going to go next week. I'm scared to go back in there. It's been so long. I'm going to look like shit. Became all this rationalization upon rationalization upon rationalization not to go. And I would, my muscles will atrophy and stuff like that. So basically I've done the same thing for a lot of things in my life, over and over again. And this is the problem. This is a root of the problem. If you want to change something, you have to be consistent. So I'm just like, I'm so fed up. I hit a wall. Last year I hit a wall. I remember it was clearly in November, December. It was on a Friday. I hit a wall. This is kind of the inspiration for a lot of what I'm trying to get into now, even though it's kind of a delayed response. It seems like it is, but it's not, because the next day after that, I did some cool stuff. I'll just say that. And then I'm just like, okay, I've got to change this. I've got to change things. And I've just been searching my mind for what is going wrong, what is the way forward. And it was at work, because it was just weird stuff at work, and I got really depressed about it, and I was just like, man, I got to change my life now. So I'll get back, eventually it led me back to 2006, because that was when I read a lot of this stuff first time. I hit a wall back then, and what it was I was living with my friend, and I'm just going to say this straight out. I had gained a lot of weight. I was way bigger than I am now, even. And I gained a lot of weight. I was pretty depressed. And this guy, I was kind of interested in this girl. I thought maybe she wanted to talk to me and stuff. And he had a party, and this girl, and he did things with her. And I got really bummed out, and I got so jealous and pissed off that I slammed the doors, and I left. I left the house, and it was like early in the morning, and I went for a drive, and I was just like, I gotta fucking figure this out. I don't know what's the deal, I hadn't had a girlfriend in, let's see, it was like 3 years, actually, at the time. Wow. long time. It's actually not for a lot of people. And I was pretty pissed off. And it wasn't really like that it had been 3 years. It was almost like it was always a failure to me, that whole part of my life. So I looked it up, and I read The Game by Neil Strauss. Like I read about the ladder theory. There was this ladder theory. It was kind of a proto-incel, red pill kind of MGTOW kind of thing that was on the internet in the early 2000s. And I had read it before, and I looked it up because I was pissed off about what was going on. I was like, fuck women, man. And then somehow The Game came up, which had come out like a year before. And I read that. I read like about Neil Strauss and stuff, and I was like, this is like September 2006, and it took a long time. But I read it. It changed my life, by the way, that book. So I read it, and I'm like, because I didn't understand things like teasing and stuff. Like maybe I was autistic. Like, why do you tease girls? Why do you do this? Like, I didn't understand. Like, it's to some extent I did, because I had a girlfriend that was pretty sassy, years before. But like, I didn't understand a lot of the just basic concepts of attraction, dating. I mean, basic concepts that are not even in the game necessarily, just like basic shit. Like, huh? Like basic stuff, like really ridiculous stuff. Like only like an autistic, like really, dare I say the R word, retarded, a person would not know. Like, oh, what? Like some basic shit I didn't know. I don't know how this got to me. Maybe my brother did tell me some stuff, but I thought it was a sexist or something, or I don't know, sexist or wrong, because he was had problems, and he was kind of a criminal at times. But it's wrong. That's the wrong way to go. You got to be nice. So I read that, and then that got me into Tony Robbins, NLP, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, stuff, concepts like that. There's nobody in the car. Why did I cover my mouth? Anyway, so this whole thing got to be like, I just went down these rabbit holes. As far as research goes, I didn't do anything about it. I didn't approach. The first woman I approached was late 2007, ever in my life, like cold approach. And I have been very inconsistently bad about that, by the way. Of course, that's what I'm saying in this video, partly. So, I'm not going to go into all the stuff, the travails that I've gone through. But, that was the first time I ever did that. And it was a big deal to me at the time. So, and it got a good conversation and stuff, too. It was actually pretty good. It was actually a pretty good approach at the time, But, didn't result in anything. That was the first time I ever did it. It took me that long. And then in 2008, I did more. And then 2009, I did a lot more. But I would walk off and stuff. And then I didn't do it for years, and on and off. And, it's been pretty bad. It's just indicative of a lot of stuff that happens to me. And when I want to get into something, I'll do it for a little bit and then quit. And then just like say I'm doing it and stuff. Oh, I'm doing it, So, but nevertheless, the 2006 was like a reset point for me. I cut all my hair. I had a stupid soul patch at the time, but I cut off. It was like almost like late 90s new metal and nu metal soul patch kind of crap. It wasn't because of new metal though. It was Neil Strauss. It looks so fucking shitty and douchey. Not that my hair looks great now or anything about me looks great, but that's what happened. And I got into Kung Fu again, and I lost a bunch of weight, and especially like 2010, I really hit the fucking, I was down to like 1 something, which is pretty rare. Like 190 or something like that I got to, like at one point. It was like, what the fuck? And then I met a girlfriend that was a foodie, and then I gained a bunch of weight, worked at a call center again, gained a bunch more weight, got to a certain level where I'm at now. But then I got really bad during the coof, and I gained about 35 more pounds. And then I lost most of that by now, the last year or so. But, Obviously, I want to go back to the 2011, 2010, 190 or 200. That was insane. So there's been a lot of inconsistency with me and self-help and trying to change my life, and it's really hard to keep consistent with this stuff. Especially the dating stuff's the hardest stuff, because it's like, oh, I have to do this and I have to do that. All this time put into it. I don't know what that's going to look like in the future, but I'm resetting things to year zero, basically. Year zero, which is 2006, when I got into all this stuff. And that's kind of my whole point. Like, I have to do affirmations, meditation, breathing, pranayama, whatever, magic, chaos magic, Neville Goddard exercises, creative visualization, listen to Tony Robbins, listen to certain other people, Ross Jeffries, certain people like that, that talk about all this stuff, and then get into just like, all this stuff, like Wayne Dyer, I got into him and stuff, and all these people, because I am at my wit's end about what has happened, and I'm getting into a lot of stuff. I bought this timeline therapy book. It's coming today as an NLP thing, and I really like that concept. And Ross Jeffries actually talks about it as Unstoppable Confidence program, which is on YouTube, by the way, if you want to seek that out. It's pretty cheesy and pretty hilarious. I take him with a tongue in cheek, because he is a comedian to some extent, unintentionally and intentionally. He was a comedy writer before he did all the dating stuff. So just getting into a lot of this stuff again, like reading about all these things. And I'm just like resetting the stuff, and I have to have this like childlike, almost like naivete again about my life and about my existence. And when people try to barge into that, this is what happens. This is my problem with people. They'll try to be realistic, be this or that, like, certain familial people or friends, or like try to like ground me and stuff. I'm like, dude, this is not how I got girlfriends or jobs or whatever, these ideal situations I've been in the past. I had to have that childlike naivete about shit, like, I'm going to meet a woman today, and you go to a bar and you get hit on. That's happened to me. That's happened to me. For real, it has. So you just gotta people that try to barge in on that or try to distort that, it's kind of pisses me off, but it is what it is. You have to put up with that kind of shit sometimes. So that's the whole thing. So yeah, I have that kind of mentality and that kind of thing I'm going back to, and I have all these goals and dreams. Some of them are very naive and silly and very weird, but I think it's better to be in that state than when I was months ago, and even weeks back. The past few weeks, sometimes I've gone back into that slump. So I recommend this whole idea to everybody. If you want to get back, fine. I'm not to everybody, but just, my whole thing is getting back to that mentality that I had in 2006, where everything was just like new. Everything was like, holy shit. And I'm not going to say like even age is a barrier, because I was already fucking old. So, and I've surpassed a lot of stuff that I never thought I would at my age. At certain ages, I'm like, oh, I'm too old for that. I guess I'm not. Anyways, that's about all.